Runda, do you want to jump into first idea here?
All right. So my first idea is very close to the early talent slash early people that are in the just getting into the job market, or maybe they're coming from another country and getting into a localized job market. So when I think about job seekers in the market these days, they really lack the basics of networking and developing relationships with people. And in terms of like outreach in the professional setting, that's like a key thing to getting a job in the first place, or a salary job, instead of just like getting shifts from all these fast food or like retail chains. So I think it's so much more important to get these new grads or young talent to just like get into like a extracurricular, or even like for immigrants or newcomers into the local job market, to actually have like a community or ecosystem to just focus on the basics of how to get a salary job. And along with the culture right now that we have, it can't really just be like going to job fairs or Toastmasters to develop that public speaking skills, or going into improv groups, because that seems like a lot of the suggestion that people give. And my first idea is more closely related to this happens much more in schools. Have anyone heard of this group called Enactus?
No, I haven't.
No.
I'm not sure if they're still around, but they were definitely around more prominently when I was in university. And essentially, it's a student club structure. And I think they might be a nonprofit, but don't quote me on that. But essentially, it is this like entrepreneurs for good group. And they have like tiers of different regions to get into this like annual conference, essentially, where like young people or students across different universities across Canada are competing to this giant pitch competition to compete against each other's social entrepreneurship for good. And then a lot of business majors in these schools, they would usually just go into Enactus and then have their regular kind of education or extracurricular learning points from these Enactus clubs. So I thought that was a great social club for these schools to have, but it's only really approachable for like entrepreneurial people. But it's not really that approachable for like people who are looking for just like a salary job that's like catered into their niche or specialty that they're learning for. And some people are just like, they don't really need to think too much about entrepreneurship. They're really just there to find like a stable career, which like they go to school to get into. So I'm just like, at a very basic level, the easiest low hanging fruit is just create an Enactus, but it's really just salary level white collar career seekers, or maybe it's like a specialty career, and would function almost just like an Enactus, where like it could potentially start in these school club chapters, and then maybe you call it a career us, and it could start from just these group community based matching to like people that are in the similar interest of hobbies or job functions, or it could be industries. And then you could then grow from the local community groups into like these workshops or expos of just people who are seeking the basics on finding, or just like network in general, along within the people that are in their career or industry. But then like once that community develops as large enough database, if we, for some way, shape, or form, if even if we just capture like 20% of the talent pool in the country, we could then start to build out the other side of the market, which is the corporate early talent pipeline. So if we have like all these individuals and information along with them that are seeking for these just salary career opportunities, there's a good chance that we could like either do surveys or personality tests occasionally in like a CRM or drip emails, and have them progressively add on more information into the database. And then maybe corporate partner can then sign up to the other end of that platform to match these corporate departments with early talent pools so that they don't have to do much of the searching. Maybe you could also do an AI assisted application on top of it, where it's just like during these cyclical early talent recruitment cycles for maybe like Manulife or a major bank or engineering firm can just be specially selected or like picked from in this database. So yeah, get a salary job club.
Okay, so you're saying to build a club around the idea that, hey, it's actually not the easiest thing in the world to find a salary job, even if you're a student in university, and build an audience around that. And once it reaches the sort of critical mass, go to market by providing recruitment services for large companies.
Or talent pool access, basically.
So you'd have access to a database of all the members, and maybe it would show what workshops they've participated in, or if there's any like special subgroups within the broader club that they're a part of, like specific functional areas maybe, or industries.
Yes. Essentially, you're just building these like very defined profiles for this base. And yeah, it could totally track all the hours of workshops or engagements that these individuals have taken. Because like that's probably one of the biggest indicator for early talent. It's just like, what are all the extra stuff that they've been participating in?
So shows their dedication to different things and what kind of things interest them.
Maybe in some level, it can be even gamified into almost like a Duolingo aspect.
Yeah, totally. I think gamification would be the direction to go there. And then I mean, if you look at like Upwork, for example, or Fiverr, a lot of these platforms have sort of found that, you know, building in questionnaires and courses and all of that into their things helps people, you know, boost themselves as a candidate. And, you know, just I think it's just really about making it as easy as possible and as fun as possible. So yeah, I think I would definitely be looking to Duolingo for some inspo on, you know, how to actually make that into something interesting.
It's funny that you say gamification. There's a point I'm going to make a little later about that on a different viral idea. But I think it comes into play anytime you use any sort of like any kind of group activity, and it's almost like that's how Toastmasters gets people hooked in, right? They have coursework, they have all kinds of awards you can win, and it makes it fun so that people feel like, hey, I'm actually working towards something. I'm a level 4 now, or you know, that kind of thing.
What is Toastmasters for people who don't know?
Toastmasters is it's kind of like a social club that helps people become better at leading and communicating. So they have you do all sorts of workshops and projects where you're either leading teams, you're putting on events, or you're speaking publicly. And after going through several of those programs over a multiple year period, people usually come out the other end very well equipped to take on leadership roles.
Interesting.
Or become a TED Talks speaker.
There are actually a lot of them who I've met who end up becoming professional speakers.
Well, Runda, I think that's an awesome idea, and it also sounds like something that a student could probably start with. You could really start that out with nothing. It's really just community building, community focus. Could probably just be putting on events, and if you're a student, your school will probably give you a space to do those events in and host that and build that community. You know, if it's really just about building up the critical mass type of database where you have a lot of potential candidates that, you know, potential corporate clients could find valuable, you know, that's something that could be a really interesting side project for even like a first year, second year university student to work on throughout their career. And I mean, hey, if it doesn't work out, you're definitely going to have no problem finding a job in the HR world after you've just spent the last few years of your life building building an entire database of talent.
True, and or at the very least, you're rounding people up and you're helping other people land their jobs, and there's a lot of reward that comes out of that. Plus, the development of your own people skills and leadership skills.
And what this makes so much sense to me is that the bar for this early talent market is actually so low. Think about it. When you're at like a major recruitment agency these days, they are only focused on senior talent to executive searches. They don't actually make that much money from placing these early talent or even internships. It's usually just like taken care by these corporate HR departments instead. And plus, even for these employment agencies or career fairs, the staffing agencies, they just teach the basics like resume building or like how to send a better application or write better cover letters. They don't really teach these systematic ways to develop relationships so other people can refer you and be your biggest advocates for you in the job market. And then there's just like so much things that could happen in these staffing agency and even career fairs. I kind of went to one a couple months ago just because I'm curious. All that it really was is just like a stage of these people talking about some presentations about getting a job as an immigrant in Canada. The rest of these booths are all just people that are trying to sell things to the new immigrants that are coming to the country. So the bar is really that low, guys.
Yeah, I think I think that's the case with especially for those students who might be listening to this. In general, you might be surprised how low the bar actually is for when companies are hiring people. And yeah, it may not actually be about what's on your resume, and they might actually just be looking for something else that you're not putting out there. That was a really cool idea, Runda. I think that somebody should definitely do that. The best person to be primed for that is going to be somebody who's already a student themselves and maybe asking themselves those questions and like, yeah, build a community around it. That's great. I rate that one. That's good.
Double click.